Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Today is Thursday, and all of today's guests, including Farhan, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants, celebrating anniversary 25 this season. Giants are in Washington State for a pair of games this weekend against Tri-City and Seattle. Braden Coots. They return home on Monday for Military Appreciation Night as the G-Men take on Everett. Puck drop is at 7. Visit VancouverGiants.com for ticket info. Bayside Oceanfront Resort inbox just before we get to Farhan. This is from Papa G in beautiful Langley. And early, is it just me, or was that an exciting, entertaining game with end-to-end action? Keep the faith. I will say this. As much as we spoke in a negative fashion about the Canucks in the first segment, and certainly that's being reflected in the inbox, the first period was really exciting. It was fast. It was end-to-end. And right to the end, I don't think there's any questioning the Canucks' effort. It was there. In the end, though, they lose 5-2 to the rebuilding Chicago Blackhawks. Farhan joins us now. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Good. You use the R word. I love it.
Yeah. We use it a lot on this show.
Yeah. Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's only when you say Rick.
Yeah. But don't you know that? I thought you watched every morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Sometimes. I'm busy in the middle of the day. I just watch the snippets that Henderson is good enough to post.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk after the show.
Hey, I watch it as you know what? I listen to it as a podcast. You're much better on audio only.
Oh, I know that. I know that. As the years go by, same with you, buddy.
Yeah. I've been guilty as charged.
Big time.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, would you agree there was nothing wrong with the Canucks' effort last night? We just talked about that.
Yeah, to be honest, I think there's been very little wrong with the Canucks' effort all season when you factor in the rosters that they've been having, right? And you got to give Adam Foote a level of credit for that he does have them buying in, he does have them working, and he does have them, believing that they can still compete despite what is being iced on any given night. So, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way you did. I thought the first period was really entertaining. It was fast-paced. I thought the Canucks were certainly the better team in the first. They generated more. They were unfortunate, I thought, not to come out with a little bit more production there, and it kind of bogged down a little bit, but it wasn't effort issues at all.
You can use excuses. I heard Foote say mental fatigue 3 times last night in the postgame. You can use them because they are banged up. They're not 100%, not even close to being 100% still with Garland and Hughes back. But you've been a coach before. Is it smart to use excuses, especially when you're dealing with the Canucks?
I think you've got to you've got to gauge your team and go back and forth with it. I think overall it's not a good thing, but there are moments where you need to give a team grace, and you do need to acknowledge just what they've done. Not necessarily make excuses for what they're not doing in that moment, but acknowledge this hasn't been easy. It is mentally taxing to have this many guys out this early in the season and still try to keep your head above water, right? So I don't think that Foote has given his team a lot of those excuses this season, but maybe he felt last night after reading the temperature in the room that was the time. And look, he's figuring things out as a first-time head coach as well. Messaging is a big thing for him, whether it's messaging through the media. There's so many moments where you can tell he's uncomfortable and doesn't know exactly what to say, and I'm sure that happens within the room as well.
All right, let's talk football. Lions in Saskatchewan. Your favorite team, Winnipeg's not in there. It's now in Saskatchewan. Lions offensive line, they got to be better than last week. I mean, the Calgary got to work way too quick, way too fast.
Yeah, especially on the interior, right? And I think Jalen Hutchings and Miles Brown and the interior guys in Calgary are probably the best group in the league. I don't think Saskatchewan's any slouches with Micah Johnson and Mike Rose. I'm not sure they're quite as good as Calgary inside, but they're good enough. And I think Buck Pierce needs to do a little bit more, because when you look at Calgary's game plan, it was really about the RPO looks. They were trying to give the BC Lions a run read, meaning hand the ball off. And if they decided to pull the ball, they were going to cover everything underneath, especially on first downs, and try to put BC in second and long, and it worked. You look at Saskatchewan. I was kind of surprised they had three of 6 all CFL selections in the secondary, because they've given up the second most passing yards in the league. So I do think there is some room there to be had. We'll see if Roland Milligan plays But, my point earlier was Buck Pierce needs to do a bit more. He needs to move the pocket a little bit more. He needs to create some horizontal movement to maybe get those guys thinking about other things besides exposing some of BC's problems in that interior offensive line. So, we'll see if he can get to the edges and move around a little bit more. It looks like in practice they've been doing a bit more of that, but they've got to be better. Rick, you're right.
Well, okay, it's going to be cold, right? I'm here at -6. The run game's crucial. You don't want that's -6
what
is
kind of a Canadian are you?
-6 is -6, Don. It's going to be cold. You think it's going to be easy -6? That's tough. Anyways, your run game, you don't want to be second along, and with that crowd and the cold, they better establish the run early.
Yeah, look, to a point. Number one, James Butler's going to go in injured, and he wasn't the same guy in the last game, right? Butler has this ability to force defenses to leak yardage, that when you hit him, he's still going to spin and fight and move his feet for maybe 2 more extra yards, right? But with the foot injury that he's dealing with, I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that, right? So we'll see, but I think there were times last game where Buck Pierce kind of rammed his head up against a wall a little bit, trying to establish a run game that might not have been there. Right. So you better determine that early. And look, I'm always a guy that, especially in this kind of weather, you need to make sure you establish a run game. And maybe Xander Horvath is the answer. But there might be some times where you just got to put this game in the hands of your best player, and that's number 12. And if that means having him run, if that means having him attack edges and throwing and, doing those kinds of things, there are multiple ways to control first down. It doesn't have to just be with the run game.
What was with that video you posted yesterday and quickly took down on Twitter?
Well, you know what? Well, because clearly I'm not a cameraman, and I hit the double record. So I meant to record Connor Garland skating, but really I hit stop when I should have hit start, and then I posted it not realizing that I'm like, oh boy, I'm an idiot. So my cameraman Owen Corbell was next to me laughing at the whole thing, but I couldn't get it from his camera to my phone instantly, right? And so it was my fault.
It's good to know you're healthy. We were a little worried about you for a second. Hey, very quickly, Farhan, Seahawks make a trade to help out the receiving courts. How impressed are you with them at 6-2 in what appears to be a fairly wide open NFC?
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of the NFC West, right? Because of the injuries early on for San Francisco. I didn't think they could tread water. The Rams had Matthew Stafford injured coming into the year. Wasn't sure what they were going to get. So I thought it was a wide open NFC West. And the West is actually better than I thought. And their Seattle is right there among the leaders. And you're right. The rest of the NFC is wide open. So I love the way this team is playing. I think Sam Darnold is on his game. When you look at that first half against Washington, I know Washington's defense isn't special this year, but 20 for 20 against anybody is pretty tough, right? And the throws that he was making down the field, and, they do have a pedestrian receiving core outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? Cooper Kupp's been in and out of the lineup. The other guys are young. So the fact that they can add a guy to it, a fourth and a fifth, we'll see what that looks like in April, right? And how much Rashid can help them this year. But he's a guy that's familiar with Clint Kubiak's system. Their run game isn't good enough. I kind of tend to agree with Greg Olson a little bit. This is more of a team that gets into run-heavy sets as opposed to a team that runs the ball effectively. But overall, you can't complain. And as this defense gets healthier, I think the Seahawks are absolutely a dark horse, and not even a deep dark horse. They could be right there as Super Bowl contenders out of the NFC. Yeah,
Rashid Shaheed, a speedster coming over from or being acquired from the New Orleans Saints. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. Good to know you're healthy. I don't know about the camera work, but we thank you for doing this.
Looking forward to hearing the whole show, including Neil McAvoy, on podcast.
There you go. Yeah. He's coming up at 11 o'clock.
Audio only.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Right across the board. Thanks for this, Farhan.
See you guys.